Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Diligent Doc. I'm super excited to be back. I know it's been another long hiatus since I've last put out a video, and I've been trying to focus more on my shorts, both on Instagram and on YouTube. But I have really been itching to get back to the long form content, and I have lots of ideas and things to discuss. So I'm excited also to be sharing my new setting here, which is brought to you by my husband, who has been working very hard for the last year and a half to finish up this space in our basement. And I love that it's very bright and airy and perfect for filming videos. So I'm super excited that this is my first video down in this new space. So without further ado, I wanted to discuss today how I have drastically changed my take on meal prep throughout the week. Back probably 8-9 years ago, when I first had my first child, I was working full-time, and I was getting very much into a more health-focused and nutrition-focused way of eating and living. I decided to dive into what everybody knows to be called meal prep. And as you would imagine, what that meant for me then was typically spending several hours on a Sunday or Saturday prepping and buying groceries, making a list of meals that we're going to have throughout the week, figuring out what groceries would go into each of those meals, and then spending at least 2 to 3 hours cooking and preparing for the week. Initially, I did that for a very long time, and I thought that it was very helpful because it did take a lot of stress and thinking out of the 5 days that we had to work. So basically I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner all set for the majority of the week. At least 4 days out of the week, those 3 meals were set. But over time, it became very cumbersome and difficult to do because, as you can imagine, spending so much time on a weekend where you already have limited free time, just thinking about food and thinking about what am I going to eat, what do I have to buy, how am I going to prep all this, it became a lot of work. And it became something that ended up really burning me out over time because it did take up a huge chunk of my free time. So there's always a give and take between how much time you're spending doing something versus how much time you're saving, right? And I found that for me at that time when I was working 5 days a week, yes, I was saving a lot of hassle during the 3 to 5 days that I was working, but I was losing so much time on my weekends where I wanted to be doing other things and not just in my kitchen or at the grocery store the whole time, right? So I have definitely written up blog posts in the past about how I meal prep and how I would write down my meals, what ingredients I would use, and then making those meals. And over time, I found that, when you have to choose different meals all the time and they all have different ingredients, that can make it a lot harder to stick to meal planning. Essentially, I gave up that method of meal planning, and throughout the years, I have really figured out what works best for me. So when we had to move to Charleston for my fellowship program, I did a lot of similar type meal prepping, but it wasn't like all cooking in one day. I might make a chicken salad or something. Back when I was eating chicken, I would make a chicken salad that would last me for several days, and I would add that to my lunch, which was typically just a salad of vegetables, right? Or I would make my smoothies in the morning, which wasn't prepped at all. I just made a single serve every morning for myself, and that was super easy to throw together and drink on the way to work. Most of my prep was really simple because I only had so much time. I had a newborn and a toddler, and I was in fellowship. So I really had to use my time wisely, and that seemed to work for a long time. Plus, during that 1 year that we lived there, we did invest in the Blue Apron, which is one of those many types of meal delivery services where they send you just the right amount of ingredients and you cook it up. And yes, it is a bit expensive. However, the time that it saved us and the hassle that it saved us during that 1 year was well worth it to me. And it was helpful that my spouse is the one who typically cooked those meals because he worked from home. So he would cook those meals 3 or 4 days a week, and then we would either have leftovers or go out to eat sometimes on the days that we had leftover that were remaining. So that worked really well for that 1 year, and I discovered that I didn't need to spend so much time cooking and planning all in one day and try to get everything done. in addition to the other household things that need to get done, or trying to go out and spend some time outdoors with family. And then in the last few years, I watch a lot of YouTube cooking videos with my family and solo. I like watching those types of videos. And I've discovered this kind of new trend or new way of thinking about meal prepping, which is called rolling prep. And what that means is you're not making everything in bulk for the whole week or for the next 4 or 5 days. You're making maybe a component or two components that you can mix and match throughout the week into different meals. And I find that this is really helpful. So simple things that I would do for rolling prep might be prepping a protein source. And lately I like to make air fryer tofu, which literally takes 10 minutes from start to finish. And I'll put that in the fridge, and I might make that twice in 1 week to last me the whole week that I need it. Or I will prep my smoothies. I'll make a huge blender full of a smoothie in the morning, one morning, and then that will last me at least 2 or 3 more days because I just save it into jars and put it in the fridge. And it's quick and easy to grab the next morning. And it doesn't, to me, I don't mind the change in taste. Some people might find that the taste changes over a couple days because it's greens and fruits all mixed together, but it doesn't really bother me. I don't think it tastes bad in any way, so I'm very fine with drinking that a couple days in a row. And then I'm very fortunate because my mother-in-law lives with us, so she cooks the majority of our dinners. That takes a huge load off of my plate. But sometimes I like to cook something too, or if I'm hosting or having company over, I'd like to do more of a traditional meal prep where I'll make a full menu and figure that out and spend quite a bit of time cooking, but it's something that I enjoy doing. So in that way, I found success because I might chop up some vegetables, just enough to last maybe 2-3 days for salads, and then it doesn't go bad, because if you cut up like cabbage or peppers and you leave it for a whole week, it's gonna go bad. So if you just cut enough for a few days, use that up, and then halfway through the week, cut up some more and use that up. It's what we call a rolling prep. And I found that to be very, very useful and helpful. And that is really the key to staying consistent with anything, is that you have to be able to fit it into your lifestyle so that you can keep doing it long term. So that's the key to keeping any consistent or healthy lifestyle habit going, is that you have to find a way to make it practical and make it work in your lifestyle, that you're not just going to give up after a few weeks or a few months when it burns you out. You want some method that will make you consistent and easy to be consistent over many, many years. That is the key to having any kind of habit that sticks. I also find that this rolling prep reduces the amount of food that goes to waste because, like I said, you're not having to throw out things that went bad since you prepped them too long ago. And of course, as you can imagine, you can get bored eating the same meal 4 or 5 days in a row. I tend to do just fine with that kind of situation. Like, I pretty much have the same thing for breakfast and lunch almost every day, at least 5 days a week. That doesn't bother me. Once in a while, I'll mix it up, like on the weekends when I have more time, and I'll cook something that takes a little bit extra time for breakfast or lunch. But most of the time, I'm fine with eating boring food, boring meals. I've actually become someone who embraces boredom in many aspects of my life because I find that the more boring and simple something is, the easier it is to just keep doing it, right? But I do understand that most people, including myself sometimes, right, we want variety, and that's the appeal of all the meal prep videos, and that's the appeal of these influencers who try to show you how they do something or do a new workout or do a new recipe, because we all like variety, we all like trying new things. And while that is fun and amazing to do and experience, it's just not practical for everyone to have so much variety every week, right? In their meals, in their habits. It's much easier to stick to something that is simple and you can repeat over time without much problem. There are some things you can tweak. For example, if I'm having a smoothie 5 mornings a week, I may change up the fruits that I have in there, or I may add nuts one day or not the other day, so there are different little tweaks you can make to the same simple meal, and that keeps it kind of interesting and you don't get as bored as quickly. So that is how I have changed my meal prep. you're interested in finding some recipes or some methods of rolling meal prep, I really enjoy Nisha Bora's videos, or Rainbow Plant Life on YouTube, and she's also on Instagram. But she has several videos about the rolling meal prep, or using components to fit into different meals throughout the week. So you're kind of mixing and matching, but you've only prepped a couple of items, and it keeps things interesting still that way. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to hear if you have any tips for how you keep up healthy eating throughout the week, try to stick to simple and nutritious meals, and if you have anything to add or comment, I'd love to hear in the comments below. So I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.